Well, hopefully.
Happy with a lot of what's happening. So I think this is another step in the right direction.
Well, again, when you talk about something like Jeffrey Epstein, as I've said many times before, it's going to be very hard to miss if they actually do come through on that.
True.
There's not going to be, I didn't even notice that one. It's going to be very hard to miss.
Even at the feverish pace that Trump is working at.
Yeah.
You won't miss something like that. I mean, the news media will try to miss it.
Listen, if you're going to throw back the veil on everything Jeffrey Epstein, if you are Kash Patel, you're throwing back the veil and exposing your very own bureau right now.
Sure.
It was the FBI running things like Operation Leap Year across several states and the Caribbean, who pulled back on everything and essentially said, somebody told the FBI, okay, somebody higher than the FBI, those same people that Cindy McCain wondered about why everybody was so scared of Jeffrey Epstein. Well,
weird.
Her husband and some of the biggest war hawks on the planet who essentially run the government, why were they all so hands off and scared of this man? So I would love to see it. And like I said, we'll see. That'll be interesting stuff.
I would imagine he knew that going in. He was pretty outspoken about the FBI and I think he wrote a book called Government Gangsters. So, I think he's going in there knowing that, he may not be the most popular, but those people presumably would be the people that he would be getting rid of and only left with the people that he feels like are actually worthy of the title. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Last night I was at the tail end of the show. A little thing was passed along to me about the Zizians. There's this transgender cult out there or something like that, a vegan cult. I was reading a little bit about this last night because a couple of people have been apprehended. They're tied to
apprehended. Wow.
Yeah, I know. But I started wondering about this. I said, and I said, I got to ask Jay about this. What do you think came first? Was it the extreme vegan lifestyle, or was it the murderous transsexual rage? What came first, the veganism or the transsexual rage?
Well, Weston A. Price in the early 1900s was trying to find a fully vegan tribe in the world somewhere, before, mass transit and everything. And that was one of his greatest laments, that he could not find a fully vegan tribe. So I don't think that was first.
They weren't evolved yet.
I guess not. Wow. What a combination.
I know. Well, this is not vegan because this would be sourced from animals, but take a listen to this headline from yesterday. The New York Post, a teen who died after injecting himself with butterfly remains, spent 7 agonizing days in the hospital. You heard right. The Brazilian teen who died after injecting himself with butterfly remains reportedly suffered in agony for a week before his death, which doctors say may have been caused by an allergic reaction or infection. Davi Nunez Moreira, 14 years old, suffered excruciating pain in a hospital for an entire week after admitting he mixed a dead butterfly.
Okay.
He mixed a dead butterfly with water and injected the concoction into his leg.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for that?
I don't know. Authorities are investigating whether the teen who had been throwing up and limping before going to the hospital was participating in a sick social media challenge that caused his death. There he is. The specialist at the hospital speculated that Davi may have suffered from an embolism, an infection, or an allergic reaction, the outlet reported. We don't know how he prepared this mixture or the size of the fragments that he managed to inject into his body. An embolism, a blockage or a blood vessel, can lead to sudden death. The teen's mysterious death linked to possible toxins in the butterfly mix that caused his body to shut down as he went into septic shock is making headlines across Brazil. And the local police are waiting for full post-mortem results before declaring the cause of death. However, authorities have not ruled out possibility that the boy was participating in an unusual social media craze that proved fatal. I don't know.
Whoa.
I have not heard about any. I heard about the fire challenges and the ice bucket challenges. I have not heard about the injecting in butterflies challenge.
Yeah. The first thing I thought of was chitin. That's part of the exoskeleton of certain insects, and it can cause allergic responses, asthma in humans, which is why, I actually wrote, it's funny, I wrote a whole post about this, the whole World Economic Forum, you'll eat the bugs kind of thing. That would be a diet very high in chitin, and that's not that's not good for humans.
Shit.
And so I'm wondering if like a direct intravenous injection into the bloodstream would cause a more severe version of that reaction. But I'm not sure. It's Chi. Try it again, Jay. CHITIN. That's how you spell it. If anyone out there wants to.
Let me see here.
I wouldn't consume it. Never mind inject it.
Hold on. Let me see something. Poison. I just asked Grok. Tell me about poisonous butterflies in Brazil. Brazil is home to remarkable diversity of butterflies with over 3,000 species recorded. While butterflies are not venomous, meaning they don't carry active toxins through stingers or bites, some species in Brazil are considered poisonous because they sequester toxic chemicals from their larval food plants, making them unpalatable or harmful predators. These toxins can deter birds, lizards, and other animals. In rare cases, they might even cause mild irritation to humans if handled or ingested in large quantities. Well, what about if it's shot right into your leg?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the things I think about, aside from the fact that it's just a foreign substance and now it's in your circulatory system.
Right. And you caused a massive immunoresponse that resulted in death.
Let me see here. Monarch butterflies, toxicity. They feed on milkweed. Yeah, there's stuff in there. Toxins are stored in their bodies, making them distasteful and potentially toxic to predators. The bright orange and black wings serve as a warning signal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for all brilliantly colored animals.
Telling you, man, there's a great, I think I've said it before on this show, but it is underrated. There's this presentation by Professor George Diggs. I think he's University of Texas, maybe, or Texas A&M or something. Back in 2014, so that's 11 years ago now, he did it at the Ancestral Health Symposium, all about plant and animal, mostly it was about plant toxins and the amazing ability that plants have to defend themselves, because they don't have locomotion, they don't have fangs and teeth like animals do, and just the wide array of chemicals that they use. Some of them use things called semiochemicals, which attract the predator of their predator. It's amazing when you understand the close connection that these plants have with nature and how they're able to protect themselves without the ability to move. So that's a very underrated presentation, and he talks a lot about things like that. So, and when it comes to insects, they're not meant to be the mainstay of the diet. There's certainly cultures that consume small amounts of them for like, a little bit of protein or fatty acids. That for sure we know. But that's why I said when the World Economic Forum wants you to eat the bugs, you can't make them the base of the diet. They're incompatible with human physiology at large quantities.
Yeah,
so you don't want your pizza crust to be made of chitin.
I know.
As delicious as that sounds.
I know, it sounds fantastic.
Frank, I'm coming over.
I love it.
I got a chitin pizza crust.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine that? I like the pizza crust that you made. I still want to do a cooking show on that.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
That carnivore pizza that you brought to the Christmas party was again destroyed.
2 years in a row, I've never tried a piece. I bring it in and then I drop it off and then I come in and say hi to everybody and then somebody comes in and goes, "Jay, your pizza's gone."
I know.
I didn't even get out of the room.
Me? Well, partly because I was going around the room and saying, "Listen, go try a slice of that before it's gone."
You learned from the first year. Yeah.
I know people have to do that. Okay, here's another one from Canada. I thought this was funny. Premier Doug Ford from Canada making a statement about Canada and being the 51st state. Now, I gotta play this because it's hilarious to me for a very specific reason. Now that I am the father of a 4-year-old, and I'm just very, very observant as far as child psychology and all that other stuff now and behavior. So listen to this.
After your meeting in Washington...
Hold on a second. Let me turn this down. Here.
After your meeting in Washington last week, one of the individuals who you had met with, James Blair, the Deputy Chief of Staff in the White House, appeared to ridicule the Premier, suggesting that the White House never agreed that Canada would not be the 51st state. You came out of that meeting calling it constructive. How was that, in your view, constructive?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think I've been pretty clear when I was down there and here. Canada will never, ever be the 51st state. And Canada is not for sale, and it will never be for sale.
Oh, it's okay. So this is why I love this so much. And the same thing just happened with Kathy Hochul and saying New York has not labored under a king in 250 years.
Kathy,
she shed through her teeth. This is what I love about this is that I don't know anybody who actually thinks that Canada is like we are coveting Canada. All right. But this is like telling a child, I'm going to eat your nose. Okay. So I like if I tell Aurora, I'm going to eat your nose. She will suddenly get very passionate and she will make a long, rambling baby speech about how I will never let you eat my nose, and just keep going on and on and on and making statements after statements and getting very passionate. I'm like, this is telling a 4-year-old, I'm going to eat your nose, and you're not going to eat it.
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who seriously thinks this. I hear Viva talk about it a lot, and he's of the same mind, kind of just joking around. Like, this is ridiculous. Either it's brilliant negotiating, brilliant trolling, whatever. I think he's just, after 4 years of Joe Biden mumbling around, I think he's just kind of like swinging it, kind of going, whatever, like I'll say whatever I want to say, and that's kind of either love or hate about Trump. But yeah, I mean, what do they say? You don't take his word seriously. I can't remember. There's like a saying that people that really know him, you take him seriously, but you don't take his word seriously. Something like that.
Yeah. I know.
That's funny.
Well, you know what? We're all speaking different languages these days anyway. It doesn't matter. All right, Jay Gulinello's here. We have a really fun night ahead of us because there's so much to talk about, and hopefully we can incorporate your calls and your questions as well. You can send super chats to quitefranklysuperchat.com. There's the Rumble rants. There's the gold pills on quitefrankly.tv, powered by Pilled. And yeah, the phones will be on shortly as well. But let's get kicked off because, as always, the biggest challenge Jay and I always have is clock management.
we run a bad 2-minute drill.
Very bad. Very bad.
We're terrible.
Very bad.
No
Okay.
timeouts. No timeouts.
We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
Okay.
I remember now, Frank.
What?
You don't take him literally, but you do take him seriously. That was the line I was trying to remember. Yeah.
That sounds right. I think I've heard that somewhere along the line too. Man, I can't tell you how happy I am to be here tonight because I still have it, a tension headache the size of Montana.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just, and I'll probably carry this into the weekend now too. There's so much stress.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is your gig, and when things, when things don't go
and
the way you expect them to,
I'm fine with problems.
Yeah.
But mysteries.
Yeah.
I don't. Please save the mysteries for your Nancy Drew bullshit. I don't need no Nancy Drew shit here. Please. I'm fine with working through problems and challenges. Frank, a mystery can be a challenge. No, don't give me that.
No.
I just need a couple of smooth weeks is all I need. Yeah. But anyway, here it is, and thanks again to Jim Lee. All right, I have some interesting stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
Take a listen to this. Now, a couple of nights ago, when we were talking about Social Security, how there are 360-year-old people that are getting some kind of a benefit.
That's some longevity right there,
siphoned around.
Yeah.
They must be part of your beta program.
Absolutely. We're treating those people well. You want longevity? I'll show you longevity.
That's it. You're never going to die.
You're outliving everybody.
But the Sentinel in the chat room called in with a little bit on this and then sent me all of his materials. I said, you know what? Let's just open it up with this because this could lead into everything else. Take a look at this. This is from August 8th of 2016. The headline from usnews.com, the U.S. is still paying a Civil War pension. It was a North Carolina woman, the daughter of a Civil War veteran, and still collects his benefits. Now, that was the case until 2020 when she died. The last American to collect a Civil War pension dies at 90. The last recipient, she has died closing the book on a story that spanned more than 150 years, including a soldier who fought for both the Union and the Confederacy. Irene Triplett, 90 years old, died on May 31st at a nursing care facility in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Several improbable developments came together to make her the last pensioner. She received $73.13 a month from the Department of Veterans Affairs, according to the news report. The story of how Triplett received the pension began with her father, Moses Triplett. He fought on both sides during the Civil War, said Dennis C. St. Andrew, the past department commander of the North Carolina Department of Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War. The group is dedicated to preserving the history and legacy of those veterans. St. Andrew said that he and his wife visited Irene Triplett several times at the care facility. My wife and I would go there a couple times a year, especially around Christmas and in the spring. We'd bring her flowers and bring her a card with a nice gift in it and visit her. And so he switched sides on his way to Gettysburg and all that stuff, and late life marriage pushed his pension into the 21st century. So in 1924, Triplett at 83 married Alida Hall, who was nearly 50 years his junior. Damn, good for him.
Yeah.
It was his second marriage, according to news reports. His first wife died in 1923. Went right into it, and that's where she came from.
Okay.
Irene was born in 1930, and he died in 1938 at 92.
Wow.
See, now that's the only thing that I think that's like the Al Pacino and Robert De Niro babies that they're still having right now. It's like you're doing this knowing this child is going to be without a father.
Sure. Yeah. For any amount of time where they can actually have memory.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any lasting memory. Definitely not an adult memory, but still. That's how that happened. So in 2020, that was when the last Civil War pensioner went away. But now, take a look at this graph. This was also as of May 2016. So Irene was still alive. The last child of a Civil War veteran. She was getting $73 a month. In 2016, I don't know now, but there were still 46 children who were receiving pensions from the Spanish-American War, and also 42 surviving spouses. Spouses.
Wow.
What were they? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's see here. 3 children of the Mexican border and 6 surviving spouses. World War I, 1,590 and 1,236 women who were surviving from World War I. World War II, there were still in 2016 144,000 vets, 9,300 children, 10 parents, and 178,000 surviving spouses. The Philippines, it's just crazy to see all this stuff.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's more impressive to see World War I and before, Spanish-American War, Civil War. But and that stuff, this is legitimate, ladies and gentlemen. Those are legitimate cases on the books.
Man, and look at the numbers. They're in the tens, the hundreds, the thousands.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I heard Trump rattling off at a couple of these impromptu news conferences were people that were approaching 200 and 300 years old.
Yeah.
Like people that were older than the Constitution.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't understand the depth of this fraud. And I think we all always knew this was the case, but now we're actually getting a chance to open the books, which is, it's funny that anybody could argue with this. I think that's the thing I'm finding most hilarious about this whole process, is that there's people out there clutching their pearls over this. Like we expected that when it came to RFK, like, I want to change things. Yeah, but I don't care enough to change things more than I care about my partisanship. Like I'm a political hack. So if it doesn't come from my team, then I don't want healthy children. I don't want a healthy country. I don't even want a healthy food supply. How can I fluoridate my own water? Those kind of people.
Yeah.
Right. But I just don't understand. I mean, this is all of our money. This is for a variety of reasons why things are out of control, where money's being shipped all over the place. You know, some of those lists that they read off, or that even Trump was reading off, I'm like, everyone's laughing at the particulars about it, but I'm looking at that going, these things are so absurd overseas that I'm pretty sure a lot of this is just money laundering under a different name. I mean, this isn't going to what is actually labeled. That's just what it's labeled. It's probably coming back in some other ways. Yeah. So that's the part that I find fascinating, that anybody could actually argue with this, getting an accounting of what's going on in this country.
Absolutely.
So,
and speaking of accounting, that's what I'm saying, and I agree that there is a lot different, very, very different tone and pace and focus on what's going on right now. After last night, I sent last night's episode and all of Marley Hornick's PDFs and breakdowns of the 2022 midterms and everything like that to as many people as I could. I could pass it along to Dilly, whatever. Mm-hmm. Listen, please make sure that I don't know how the hell it should be, but there's a lot of great things being prioritized right now. But last night's episode with all of the election anomalies, that has to be top 3. Has to be top 3. And
I was listening to it, and you're right. Like, you and I have had candid conversations offline about this, you know, both currently living in New York, but I don't believe, I'm not sure about Kathy Hochul. I shouldn't say I don't believe. I should say, like I think Marley Hornick said, we just don't know. And if you don't know who's properly elected, who's, you know, I just have a hard time. I mean, that directly affected just a personal story. I mean, she was the reason that I lost my job at the hospital. She's the one who mandated, you know, the medicine. Yeah, the magic medicine. And it wasn't Cuomo, it was her. So that election, well, now obviously she was put in place after Cuomo was removed, but she did win an election, in quotes. I think that stuff is very important to understand the truth behind, or else we're never going to get to a place where we can actually understand what the people want. Like, did the people of New York really want this? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. So I don't know. That's my thought about it. I would like to see a true accounting. I don't understand how anybody can stand in the way of this. I don't either. And when it comes to the accounting, what do you think about the fact that we're actually not? It's not the butt of a joke or some kind of a mysterious. You know, Fort Knox. The fact that Fort Knox is not just the punchline of some joke or a phrase that we use about having some secret guarded or being, you know, I don't know, of the utmost importance to preserve something. Right. You know, that hiding it in Fort Knox over here. Yeah, that's sealed up as Fort Knox is.
Right.
Yeah.
So sealed up, we don't know what's in it.
Exactly.
And for a long time, that just seemed like something that we always thought that we would go on, just say there's probably nothing in there. Mm-hmm. We've been robbed in every way known to man. Mm-hmm. Why would we have adequate gold reserves? No way in hell. Right. And the fact that Ron Paul may have a significant role still to play.
That's cool.
With the Federal Reserve. I mean, he's getting interviewed, and Mel K was just talking to Ron Paul again.
Oh, cool.
And he seems pretty excited with the idea of being able to go in there with a pick and shovel.
Isn't this his life's work essentially?
That would be the most appropriate swan song.
Certainly,
that would be the swan song of all ages. And then again, it's great first step. That whoever, you know, there are people out there who really just don't want to allow themselves to be cautiously optimistic about anything.
Right.
Where they'll say, oh, you know what, you know, uncovering all this is one thing, but what's going to be done? I was like, do you understand that just getting the accounting that we're getting right now was a pipe dream? I mean, think about that just in and of itself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's pretty good. The fact that here, listen to these comments. There's 29 seconds of Donald Trump on Fort Knox. I think this was yesterday. Listen to this.
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there. Are they going to? You know that we're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that? Sir, that was a bad bump.
Are they going to eliminate more national security positions?
The person saying, "Are you going to eliminate more national security positions and all that stuff?" Listen.
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, I mean, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the gold have gone?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
It's not,
Frank, it's so bizarre. I mean, you've got to take a
We're
moment.
going to go into Fort.
sorry.
You gotta take a moment, the fabled Fort Knox. You gotta take a moment to realize how ridiculous the media is, first of all, right? Like they're one line of questioning. But the fact that we're even living at a time where we're asking these obvious questions and that's become controversial. We've been so steeped in this, secrecy or the way things are done or this, kind of stuff. And Trump he's just so painfully logical that people can't stand it. We just want to see if the gold's in there. What are you, crazy? It's like,
I know.
No, I just want to see. You would do the same thing in your life.
Yep.
Madam, sir, reporter. You damn well know you would do this in your life. You wouldn't accept what's being done on behalf of the American people in your own personal life. So why are you accepting it on a national scale? Oh, because obviously you're getting paid for your talking points and all of that. But it's just every day they just continue to show they're incapable of critical thinking and really just fraudulent as a media in general, but each one of them individually has no journalistic integrity anymore. It's remarkable when you listen to it.
I know. But in the fact, there's a lot of people that still follow their lead.
I know.
And they willingly just freak out about nothing. For example, this whole nobody elected Elon Musk. That whole line is just so ridiculous. As if and anytime something happens, why wasn't the president? The president should have been flying every plane safely down to the ground. Gail King was talking to the CEO of Delta the other day on whatever show she hosts, hoping that she was going to get some kind of a confirmation that Donald Trump's cuts all over the place are bringing the planes down. And she asked, has any of these the cuts to resources at the FAA responsible for what happened with Delta? And he said, no, absolutely not. She like quirked her brow, like, are you sure? like no, it's so ridiculous over here. The other thing there too is, as we said before, most people, you wonder what they're protesting. Like when somebody comes out and says, the Social Security system has tens of millions of people on there who there's no way that they exist because of the age. And all of those pensions and all that money can account for upwards of $750 billion a year. When you bring that out to someone, what are you protesting?
Right.
Because again, like I said, what's being shown right now is that there is so much fraud and so much crime being conducted under our noses that if you can take trillions off the top and it would not affect anything that gets sent to your house in the form of a check every month.
Right.
Nobody's affected at all. People just don't even understand what's going on. But they also don't. They also have surrendered their thinking.
Sure.
So it's you can't get through to them. Like, I don't know how you can convince yourself that this is a bad thing.
Well, I think I've said this before that to some degree, and I know that we're going to transition into the RFK stuff because, but I think in a lot of ways, it's just going to be, you're going to have to drag people kicking and screaming to a better life. Like even the people who are throwing up their hands and throwing the hissy fits and all this stuff, I hate to tell you, your life's going to get better financially, in a variety, health-wise, in a variety of ways.
Whether you like it or not. And it's really hard for people like us and your audience who are just like reasonable, logical people who can have disagreements. But, again, Frank, I've said this on this show a million times. I've said it with Daryl on our show. I think it in my mind for forever, like really growing up in the 90s and really starting to like develop my own worldview and stuff like that. Like those were very formative years for me. And I always remember thinking, first of all, I was vehemently against the politically correct movement not because I knew that it was going to end us up here in this crazy place that we're in, but I knew it wasn't good. I knew inherently, I don't know, just policing people's speech and like whether it just doesn't feel right. I don't like the politically correct movement. But you get to a point where, people just, they lose the ability to discern reality and to understand, the objective truths of the world. And now you're in a place where, again, you're going to be dragged kicking and screaming to a variety of different things that are going to benefit you. And I don't know how we
how we remove that from people. I don't know. Maybe it's just going to have to be that we're going to have to land in that place where people are going to have to look around one day. Like, I don't know if Trump will ever get credit for it while he's alive. It may just be years after he's gone. I'm not sure. But it's really sad because, you know, you actually have somebody who doesn't speak like a politician, who does what he says he's going to do. The things that everybody says they want in a political figure, the things that everyone says they want change. I was telling you, I just did today released a Rumble video about the FDA because I feel like the FDA is next on the chopping block because we've seen CDC just laid off a bunch of people. There's going to be some cuts coming. And I laid out this strategic kind of like, this is why the FDA deserves to be scrutinized on the drug side and the food side. And I used papers and reports and literature and everything. And even talked about Anthony Fauci. By the way, I know that Elon Musk wasn't elected, but last I checked, the guy who ran our lives during COVID wasn't elected either.
Right.
Oh, and also Bill Gates wasn't elected either. So, you know, again, what's good for the goose is not good for the
and he
gander.
was there for a tenure of over 40 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was 1984 to 2022. And by the way, in that same time period, and I lay this out in this video, in that same time period, he is the head of the NIAID, the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Disease. On his watch, autoimmune conditions in a very similar time span, 1988 to 2012, they use something called anti-nuclear antibodies. This is like a proxy test for autoimmune diseases, right? It just basically the non-specific marker for autoimmune disease. Those rose roughly 16% in that same time period. And in 12 to 19-year-olds, autoimmune diseases increased threefold.
Wow.
So Anthony Fauci, though, oops, I said the name, you know, he doesn't get reprimanded, fired, demoted. He's promoted. He's the highest paid federal employee.
He's venerated.
Fails upwards. And that's what we do in this country, right? We don't punish people after 9/11. It's just more layers of bureaucracy to monitor the other bureaucracy. And eventually power is so centralized, you have absolutely no control over it. It can't make a sharp turn anymore when new information is presented. That's why RFK's task is monumental to change this behemoth of healthcare that is not caring or promoting health. But,
well, Jay, you know, that's the reason why I've said also when I'll get, you know, any kind of pushback on the internet, in the rare occasion that somebody calls in, like that call from New Jersey the other night, or something, who are, you know, making snarky comments about getting rid of all of our nuclear scientists who help manage our nuclear infrastructure and stuff like that. That's such a cop out to say that we don't need skillful people to be able to keep highly technological operations running smoothly. The whole point is the authority being centralized, or are we delegating it properly in the way that allows us, you know, there's a philosophical reason why things are supposed to be decentralized in our republic model. And chief among them, aside from making sure that there is no central power that becomes all knowing, all ruling, you know, completely omnipotent, or at least that's the way that they project themselves, where they claim authority over everything. That in itself is ridiculous. As I said a couple of nights ago, that's when you get NASA turning its gaze away from the stars to, you know, propping up President Obama's climate change narratives.
Right.
You know, and the other reason why you want to be able to keep this thing centralized is that from a practical standpoint, it allows people to innovate. There's no innovation when things are clumped together.
Yes.
So there's just so much. There's so much in that respect that is being ignored, and I think so much of it has to be really comes down to, you know, what Yoda told Luke Skywalker on Dagobah: you must unlearn what you have learned. You know, you have to unlearn so much. How many times, you know, have we done groundbreaking broadcasts together that really just have to do with telling people that salt isn't bad for you? You know, it's shit like that. That's something that a lot of people have to unlearn.
Oh, I think at the first Perpetual Health Retreat, I think the title of my opening talk, so it would have been the first talk at the first retreat, was called The Great Unlearn, because that's really what it's going to require. And I did this whole thing where, you know, in the literature, it says it takes 17 years for a concept to go from research to clinical application. But the truth is, that's actually that's probably underestimated because of the fact that people build careers, like you just said, right? People build careers on a foundation. And if that foundation is found to be faulty or straight up wrong, people have a very hard time letting that go because, well, one of two reasons. Either financially they're conflicted, or understandably, they've spent a lifetime telling people X, Y, or Z about their health. If they accept that that was wrong, they also have to accept the fact that they were giving people bad advice. Now, it's not their fault. I have probably given bad advice. I'm sure I have, because I'm limited by the time period that I exist in. We've talked about this before. We can't know everything. That's not the purview of a human being. We will never know everything in our lifetime. So you do the best you can, and you just be honest about adjusting as you go. But these people who all would argue, you put 10 people in a room, 10 of them will tell you they want change. But anytime somebody shows up and says, I have an idea for change, almost everybody will say, no, you're going to destroy norms and institutions. Yes, that is what is required for change. Yep. You have to sometimes destroy a norm or an institution in order to create change. I don't understand why this concept is so challenging for people, but clearly it is.
It's, again, where do people's interests lie?
Right.
Yeah, there are people who have benefited generationally from the way that things are set up.
Of course.
And then there is an underclass of dependents who every election really is just about how much more can I vote to have to come to me.
Yeah.
And listen, what we're talking about here is really principle based.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we get anything much of, or even a little bit of what we hope is at the other end of this stretch of road, who knows? But this is why you would want these systems decentralized. This is why you would want disclosure. This is why you would want the books opened on everything. And this is why you want to defang central powers, because another thing that I had brought up again, and I always from time to time have to say it, I don't think I'm right about everything. But where I firmly put myself in a righteous position is in making myself very clear that I do not assume perfect knowledge of every situation.
Right.
Whereas people who lick boots for the central government always assume perfect knowledge of every situation, and every motivation for somebody being out there in the free market looking for any one thing, whether it be a personalized healthcare plan or something that they want to do very specific with their child's education,
right,
or informed consent on one thing or another medically, whatever the hell it is. You cannot, there's too many variables to make everything one size fits all.
Oh, Frank. I mean, when I tell you, you have no idea. Well, you do have an idea of how correct you are, but even in just my field alone, there are multiple layers of how true that is. There's the concept, I've written about it recently, about chrononutrition, meaning that like even just the timing of the very same meal in a different person has a very different biological effect, right? So that's just a variation within the same person. Then you've got people living at different latitudes, suffering from different diseases, because quite literally the environment that this person exists in makes them more susceptible to some things and less susceptible to other. So during the whole COVID mess, I kept saying, one size fits all is never going to work here. It doesn't work anywhere. Nutrition, anywhere in the health sciences. So even from my field alone, I can see that's the case. And if you want to be one of those people, Frank, that says, well, I'm just going to defer to the experts. Okay, fine. But why do I have to be that person? What is it about this American freedom experiment that angers you so much that I'm choosing to exercise my freedom by not deferring to an expert?
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to assume a little responsibility here. I know that's a dirty word for some people because, like you said, they just want to bootlick whatever agency is telling them to do whatever thing they're telling them to do at whatever given time. But what makes you so upset about me exercising that freedom? And that's the real question, right? Why are you so upset? Is it the CDC can do no wrong? Well, that's not true. The FDA can do no wrong? Well, that's not true. So I don't know, man. We need change agents, and I think we're finally starting to get them. Again, I'm not telling you I know what's going to happen, but I'm telling you that the process we're going through right now is that process of, it's the moth emerging from a cocoon. It's a struggle. It's going to be a little messy, but if you're lucky, in the end, you get something more beautiful than when you started with, and that's the direction that I hope we're headed.
Yeah. It even comes down to the national parks. I saw this, people screaming and screeching that, the national parks are going away and everybody's going to be fired and families are going to lose their job, their provide. Listen, you know what? And then it makes so-called conservatives feel like, well, we at least need to take care of our national parks and we can't, fire, rangers and all that other stuff. And I'm just like, well, you don't have to, because the states can and should take them over again, where these parks are property of the states,
right,
of their respective states. So, it's just, we need to break the tumor apart. Mm-hmm. And just, I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
Get dressed. You're going.
It's just time to go.
I liked, you said that the other night. I can't remember exactly the words you used, but it's, we don't understand what it means to be an American anymore. And I'm putting myself in that same category. I'm learning what I should have learned in history class and in social studies and all those classes in high school and elementary school. I'm learning now the things that I should have learned when I was a kid, because our education system, it wasn't as broken as it is now probably when I was in school, but it was still broken. And, so I don't have all the answers. I have to think about, well, what would it look like if we returned like a CDC or FDA style organization? I'm not saying that we don't need them at all. Maybe we don't. Maybe we do. What if they were reimagined to a state level where you could take care of your population on a much more local level? That would, first of all, give people more control. I don't know. Again, I'm just batting around ideas. I don't have the answers, but I know that what's been going on right now, and what I pulled for this episode, Frank, was just like a bunch of alarming statistics like RFK rattled off in his HHS address.
I have that right here.
Yeah, it's not a debate anymore as to what is going on in this country. Our failing and falling life expectancy, our chronic disease rates. We're spending so much more money on healthcare than we are on national defense, and we're getting sicker and sicker. We have to turn the ship around, but nobody wants to be the first person to do it. RFK, whether he has the answers or not, he doesn't have all the answers. Nobody does, but at least he's trying. And people like us, people like me, people who think like I do are just saying, listen, we got to do things differently. We're on an unsustainable course. We're like the Titanic, right? There's an iceberg right there. Well, but this is our course. Yeah, but there's an iceberg right there. Can we just move to the left or move to the right? But this is our course. I know, but we're going to crash into the iceberg. Can we do something about it? And it's just maddening how no one wants to move.
I know. I know.
With salt, it's cholesterol, it's red meat. It's just, I fight with people on the internet all the time, and it's just crazy.
Well, we got some quotes from this. I got this from Deseret News. RFK Jr. speaks about his priorities for health research at HHS during introductory remarks. Let's see here. Key points. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. began his welcoming remarks by discussing America's chronic disease crisis, noting that 60% of adults have at least one chronic disease and healthcare costs exceed $4 trillion. Let's see, he describes America's chronic disease epidemic. Per Kennedy, currently in the U.S., 6 in 10 adults have at least one chronic disease and 4 in 10 have at least 2 or more, he said. Among American children and teens, 1 in 36 have autism. 18% suffer from fatty liver disease, and more than 40% are overweight or obese. Kennedy blamed the rise on the growing issue of over-medication, and he also believes that the multi-generational deterioration of health has been accompanied by a growing distrust in the public health sector.
Those are CDC statistics, by the way, just so people understand the 4 in 10 and 6 in 10 chronic diseases, adults. Those are CDC statistics, just in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah. He goes in to say that, again, he said it's like moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic. Mm-hmm. $4 trillion as it is now, there's no good solution. We need to start asking very different questions, regardless of who pays. Why are we paying so much?
Yeah.
And here we say the path to trust is always through transparency. Transparency is the foundation of science, and it is the foundation of democracy, Kennedy said, addressing the assembled staff. Kennedy recalled his visiting the HHS with his uncle, President John F. Kennedy, when he was a boy and being impressed with the scientists for being motivated by high ideals. Quote, I believe that most of you are here not for the money. I also understand the corrosive power of money as it infiltrates and captures institutions like ours. Our health should not be a political issue. The science gets politicized when power and profit are involved, and power and profit are blind to compassion. And then he talks about the polarization of his confirmation process, and this is where the big statements are made about his intent.
Yeah.
Kennedy's confirmation vote fell almost entirely along party lines, with all Democratic senators voting nay and all but one Republican senator voting yay.
Even Bernie Sanders.
I know. Senator Mitch McConnell, who had polio as a child.
Oh, right.
I had polio.
Still suffering from it, apparently.
I can't, in good conscience, I can't vote for this man. I know my polio would come back.
Anchors away, Mitch.
You know what
Anchors away.
I can't stand too? You know, I just joked about my polio would come back if they don't. But you know, the thing I can't stand is the day of Robert Kennedy's confirmation is the day that we started seeing headline after headline about measles and everything coming. It's all over the place, which is ridiculous because A, there's no policy changes yet.
No.
And B, it's almost as if they've given like nefarious diabolical intent to the viruses.
Well, they did that during COVID. Don't you remember? It's coming after you.
It's coming for you. It's targeting black people.
Anthropomorphizing.
It's targeting.
I mean, and viruses hysterically, which actually have no, they're not, they don't even meet the biological definition of life. They're just genetic material packaged in a lipid envelope. They don't even have respiration. They're not alive. So it's even, when you actually understand the biology, it's even more comical when they turn a virus into a person. It's really funny.
It really is, because it's almost as if the day of RFK's confirmation, flu and measles and polio like became emboldened.
They had a meeting.
They're like, now it's our time. It's our time, boys. We're coming back. It's so ridiculous. And people read this stuff and I laugh. I chuckle to myself, but then I stop chuckling because I know people who would read this and go, son of a bitch.
Yeah. Frank, those senators, I think I wrote something on X about that. Like if you watch those hearings with RFK, you realize you truly are not governed by the best of the best. These are some of the dumbest people on the planet. I wish you could have made a drinking game out of how many times they said anti-vaxxer and conspiracy theorist. That's the only thing they have left, right? Because for a while it was insurrectionist, and now since that's really not Kennedy, he's just an anti-vaxxer and a conspiracy theorist. They must have said it 150,000 times in that hearing. And of course, it didn't matter. It was on party lines. But like even just, you know, the exchanges between the pathetic Elizabeth Warren and the sellout Bernie Sanders, it was just so low class. And these people, they're really not the best of us. If you don't pay attention to politics, you are truly governed by your inferiors.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just bad. Let's see. Here goes. Kennedy asked his staff to let go of any preconceptions they may have made about him and work toward restoring the health of Americans. In return, Kennedy promised to hold his preconceived answers lightly. I promise to be willing to be wrong, he said. The health of our people is a lot more important than being right or being vindicated. We can start right now. Now, here's the big thing. Kennedy said he wants to increase research, and I have a clip that you sent to me.
Oh, yeah.
We'll play it. Kennedy says he wants to increase research in areas that he thinks of as insufficiently scrutinized, including childhood vaccine schedules, electromagnetic radiation, glyphosate, pesticides, ultra-processed food, they're Mitch McConnell's polio over there, ultra-processed foods, artificial food additives, SSRIs, psychiatric drugs, and microplastics.
I think we've done a show on every one of those topics at this point. Oh, man.
Dude, the SSRIs and the drugs, you wait for those protests.
Oh, yeah.
You wait for those protests for people who are like, I can't, you know, my 18,000, it's going to be, you want to see the demons get exercised? But take a listen to this. Here's the, it's a 2-minute clip you sent me.
Yeah.
Last Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order to establish the MAHA Commission to study what has caused the precipitous decline in American health over the past 2 generations. So we will convene representatives of all viewpoints to study the causes for the drastic rise in chronic disease. Some of the possible factors we will investigate were formerly taboo or insufficiently scrutinized. The childhood vaccine schedule, electromagnetic radiation, glyphosate, other pesticides, ultra-processed foods, artificial food additives, SSRI and other psychiatric drugs, PFAs, PFOAs, microplastics, nothing is going to be off limits. Whatever belief or suspicion I have expressed in the past, I'm willing to subject them all to the scrutiny of unbiased science. That is going to be our template, unbiased science. That's something that will make us all proud of this agency and of our role in restoring American health. Let's commission research that will satisfy all the stakeholders once and for all. Let's use protocols that we all agree on in advance and not alter the outcomes of studies when they're halfway through and that they look inconvenient. Let's all depoliticize these issues and reestablish a common ground for action and renew the search for existential truth with no political impediments and no preconceptions.
So, I mean,
I just don't understand how any rational human being can argue with that. But you're not dealing with rational human beings. I mean, you need to get a tinfoil hat because he just wants to truly study those things. And some people think, you know, if their favorite saying, the science is settled, which of course there's no such thing. You heard that during the Senate hearings.
Yeah.
Science is settled. I mean, and Bernie Sanders was hysterical. No, he didn't read the research, but people told him that the science was settled, which just makes you, again, just wonder about the intellectual prowess of some of these people that have been in Congress for 150,000 years. You know, maybe there's some of the people on the Social Security rolls there.
It is
300-year-old senators.
It very well could be. Now let's go on a really quick break, and before we go on a break, I want to play something for you. Mm-hmm. This just got tweeted out a couple of minutes ago by from the president's Twitter account. President Trump phone call with USA Hockey. Just wanted to give them a little bit of a rousing support. I mean, the game is about to start in a couple of minutes there. Mm-hmm. But I haven't heard this. This was just sent my way by John Carroll. Take a listen to this.
Well, I'll talk to the guys if they're around.
Yeah, they are. I'm going to walk into the locker room right now, and you can speak to the guys firsthand. Mr. President, can you hear me?
I can. You guys are really talented. I have great respect for hockey players. I'm a hockey fan. I love hockey. The talent, the skill that you have is crazy. And just go out and have a good time tonight. And I just want to wish you a lot of luck. You really are a skilled group of people. It's an honor to talk to you and get out there, and there's no pressure whatsoever.
I can tell you honestly, every person in here, players, staff, management, coaches, we are all proud Americans, and we want to represent our country the best way we can and do our best to bring in a win tonight. Thank you again on behalf of everybody.
You just go out and have a good time. You're going to win, and we love America, and we love you guys. We'll be watching tonight. Bring it on.
Thank you.
So I don't know what honestly, the tournament, I don't know if this is like almost like a World Baseball Classic kind of a thing.
Yeah, I don't know what it was actually.
But hey, you know what?
That's cool. And it's in Boston, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a lot of Bruins playoff games, and the crowd can be pretty rowdy. So.
Well, I guess I'll have to watch the highlights because I'll be stuck here with you. Anyway,
we can't end the show early.
You know what? That's it. That was a nice tight hour.
Yep. See you later.
All right, we'll be right back. We're going to take your calls and do a whole bunch of other things, and yeah, don't go anywhere. It's going to be fun, very, very fun. Hold on, there he is.
Welcome to Intermission. Yeah, Intermission.
I'm not the one who's coming back for more. We've been through this too many times. It's never clear to mind.
Quite frankly, he's amazing.
Okay. I'll tell you, Jay, this perpetual health hoodie, especially during the winter months, it's the overcoat that I don't have to take off. People must think that I wear the same shit every night. No.
Warm and stylish.
It's just I
sleep in it sometimes,
dude. Well, I can't sleep in a hoodie.
No,
I've only slept in a hoodie twice, and that I can remember.
Were you sick?
It was one time was the night before Lauren and I getting married in 2017. So in 2017, that May of 2017, I was like so nervous the night before that I was just like laying in bed. She wasn't home because she was staying with her bridesmaids and stuff. Yeah. So I was home. All the guys had just left, and now it's just me. And I'm just sitting there in bed, and I had my hoodie on because we had like a fire pit in the back and all that. And I remember just laying there and said, okay, I'm just going to go to bed like this. And I just
move.
I don't know. It was very weird. Maybe one other time I went to bed with a hoodie on, but it's only under like high stress situations that I can ignore the fact that I'm being slowly strangled.
Oh yeah, I could never do that. But those were very, I was very happy. I can't remember the place I got them, but the guy that made them, super comfortable, very soft, very nice. Can you take 5 seconds to just say something to your audience? Because you and I talked about this off the air maybe like a week ago. But I think it's fantastic that you have a sponsorship with Keto Brainz. So just to bring them up, right? Great company. I met Molly and her brother at KetoCon. Great group of people, great product. Love that stuff. And so it was great to see that you guys struck up an arrangement. But I also wanted to just say, as far as the audience goes, I don't think people realize whenever it comes to like a nutritional supplement or something like that, Frank runs all these things by me because he trusts my judgment, which I am very, I'm humbled by that. I do the best I can. But I just want you guys to know that if I tell Frank the truth about something, even though I know, an independent show like this can use sponsors and every little bit helps. If I tell him something, I'm like, well, I'm not so sure about this. And I'm certainly not going to mention names or anything. He takes that advice very seriously, and he never sends anything along to you. He's never sent anything along to you guys that didn't get an okay. And I know a lot of people, for example, that will pitch things because they've been the same product. And I've looked at them and I said, this person doesn't know what they're talking about this product, and they're pitching it to their people and they don't know anything about it. And I know it may not be a big deal to some people, but I think your audience should know that the things you bring to them, you really vet and you do your best and you care about the audience, and you're not going to give them something just because it helps the show make money. And I think that's admirable. You're not going to say it yourself, so I'm going to say it because I notice these things because you come to me, and then when they go nowhere, I go, wow. I mean, that's just, I find that to be a rare quality and a rare trait. And I think it's really what's great about this show. And so, that's why when the audience actually supports the show directly, through the variety of ways you have, I think that's amazing, because what Frank is bringing you is the truth to the best of his ability, my ability, and anybody else to discern. So I just think that's worth saying, worth noting. The people that he brings to you are quality, and that quality in a person and in a show is rare. And I just wanted to highlight that.
Well, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the company you keep, right?
Yeah.
And it's always been very, very tough for me to, I don't know. I've gotten a lot of from well-meaning people and companies.
Absolutely.
I just like, it's not a fit. I'm not really enthusiastic about it. I don't use it. And then, of course, the other thing is if it's nutritional in nature, I always run it by you. And I don't like the ingredients on this. All right, then never mind.
Yeah.
And it shows this size could use a little something. But I look at the long term on these things, and that's why the fact that 99% of the show's lifeblood is from individual members of the audience who sponsor through everything else and don't join any networks and this and that. I just commit to the things that feel most authentic.
Yes.
Because there's just, I don't know. You can get tripped up in ways that you don't even know you can get tripped up.
Yep.
So it's just nerve-wracking.
You trust your gut, and we're talking about Make America Healthy Again. And, when we find additives in a food or something like that, and we discuss it, and it's like, well, we're not going to do that because that's not what we want to bring to the audience. So I just, like I said, I really pay attention to those kinds of things. And they honestly, even other shows that I like, it turns me off when I know they're pitching a product that clearly they have not vetted, they don't know anything about, but they're paying some bills with it. And I don't find that to be compelling. And when that's very different on your show, I think it's worth calling out. So your audience understands that it's stuff that you guys don't see behind the scenes, but it really matters to the quality of the show. So
well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people appreciate that. And and we definitely at some point before we leave, maybe the last couple of minutes, we gotta get a little bit of an update on how the beta program has been going.
I would love to. Yeah,
because I know that most of the people that are there are members of this audience.
Everybody, actually.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So
all 43 of them, which we were supposed to only do 30 because it's just Jen and I, and technically it's just one because we are committed to seeing everybody together. So it's really just one of us.
Yeah.
And we bit off a little more than we could chew, but what a learning experience it's been so far. We've seen 30 of 43.
Okay.
So we only got 13. I can do math.
Because you said the first 90 days is what you were really trying to.
Yeah, but we got such a late start, and so Jen and I decided to not. We haven't even started the clock on the 90 days yet. We're giving all this to people, essentially just we haven't even started the clock on the 90 days because we wanted to get through all the intakes first and give everybody a taste of the program. So we just realized there's just too many people. So we're like, well, we're just going to keep going through everybody and we'll start the 90 days probably in March or something.
Well, let's see. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just this is what the beta program was going to be about. But to the audience, anybody who's not in the beta program, we'll open up another round once we feel we can take everybody on and we've worked out the bugs. And there've been a ton of bugs, technical problems. We're using brand new EMRs, EHRs, electronic health records. Everything that we're doing is brand new. We don't know how to use it. We're trying to figure it out. It's not going well. We're missing messages. Sorry. But I guess we'll do it now. But your audience, Frank, everybody, we've met 30 of 43 people. Literally. I don't know if there's another cross-section of the human population. Literally everybody we have met so far has been a truly high-quality human being. Every one of these audience members, amazing people. Just every time Jen and I finish a session, we're like, wow, what a nice person. Wow, what a great person. It's just, and you just know. You just know when you talk, these intakes are an hour long, So the update is we're getting our last 13 done, and we're going to open it up to the vast public once we feel confident that everything is running smoothly. And maybe we even have to hire somebody because we can't, the two of us are already working other jobs. We can't do this.
I know.
We've been working 7 days a week in the entire month of February, but it's worth it. It's been amazing. And every one of these people, your audience is just such good people.
Well, I can't wait for 2 years from now when we start getting big time success stories.
Yeah,
that's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
because that's what I love, the hard work and the consistency. Yeah. But anyway, into our super chats, Stowstube says just a little thank you to the both of you. Love when Jay's in the studio. Me too.
Yeah,
it's a fun time. Jay Britt says wonderful show tonight, Frank, and always better with the great Junebug Gulinello. Junebug.
Have not heard that one before.
Shotzi says, always great to have Jay in the studio. Happy everything is up and running. Fingers crossed. I know. Yeah. Don't breathe. You just don't know what happens. And then that's what you have right there. So that's quite frankly superchat.com. Final Rebellion became a monthly supporter on Rumble, and that is so nice of you. I really appreciate that. We have a couple of Rumble rants as well. Is this the real life? Says, grazie mille, Frank, for the Keto Brainz sample. Can't wait to try it. God bless to you for all that you do always. ST. Oh, I have a couple of my personal friends who just got their packets today too. I can't wait to hear what they say.
Good stuff.
Weathered Crow says, don't forget the Scarf Queen. No one elected her either. Oh,
Dr. Burks. Yeah, good
Burks.
call.
Who fled the scene because she had a Christmas party.
Yeah, well, I mean, do as I say, not as I do. Frank.
I know. And then she has all those nice scarves. What's she going to do? Not show them off at Christmas?
She can always put them over her face like that.
Freak. Can't stand these people. But they and it's not even a matter of, oh, man, can't stand them. They're part of the other team. They're criminals.
They're parasites.
They're criminals.
Yeah.
Yep. Fauci was at it back in the AIDS days.
Oh yeah.
And I still have to just read the. I think we're going to do it soon. Maybe I'll do it for a special broadcast off of YouTube, where one night I just read Liam Sheff's work on the Scarlet Letter. You would love this chapter on AIDS and AZT.
I'll sit in on it,
dude. Because the whole time you're going to be going, okay, 1984, 1985. 2020. The same fucking test, the same fucking people.
Yeah.
Everything. You know, a remedy that's worse than the problem.
Right.
The remedy that's the bigger problem of the two. I mean, it's just.
You ever seen the movie The Band Played On?
No.
That's about this a similar that I believe that's about. I watched it a long time ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's about the entire AIDS story. I think people like Fauci make an appearance in that movie as well. It's very good.
We're gonna have we're gonna have to do this one night. Okay, let's see here. I don't recall says thank you. Thank you. Just sent the cookie. NX17 says, yay, Jay. CB Joey says, I love when Jeremiah is on. Great show, bros.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Safety Net 820 says, positive high vibes, frankly, family. Frank and Junior Gulinello. One Love, Lynn. Chatty KC says, you both are nailing it. Sean Joe, bunch of cookies. C Blanche, Stow Stew with a whole sleeve of cookies. Speaking of cookies. I swear to God, you have become a threat in the house. If God forbid, in my eating window, I have something with a gram of sugar in it. Aurora says, I'm gonna tell Jay the nutritionist.
Nice. I've already trained her well.
I said, you know, Jay doesn't get mad at people for having a treat every once in a while, right?
Maybe Aurora's gonna grow up to be a nutritionist who does get mad at people.
I wouldn't be surprised. No, yeah, she uses you as a threat against Lauren and I.
Great. Ever since we collected the fireflies together
on 4th of July.
That's funny.
That's the partnership forged in fire. Anyway,
that's great.
All right, let's. Here we got to do this real quick. So the congestion taxes in New York City, well, there's been a little bit of an issue because of the Trump administration. Is the NYC congestion pricing officially dead? What happens next in the Trump MTA battle? So just a little on this because I just want to let everybody know what's going on. The Trump administration has moved to pull the plug on the New York's congestion pricing toll, setting off a feisty legal showdown between the feds and the state over controversial scheme. Just weeks after drivers started getting slammed with a $9 fee to enter Manhattan below 60th Street, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said Wednesday that he was scrapping approval, calling the toll's financial burden a slap in the face to working-class Americans and small business owners. But the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which administers the toll, quickly filed a federal lawsuit and vowed to fight to keep the first-in-the-nation plan alive. The legal fight looms. President Trump, Kathy Hochul, and others trade barbs over the move. Here's a breakdown of what happens next. So, what the hell would he say? Trump said something like, I don't know, the cameras are staying on. We're keeping the cameras on. Lights, camera, action. They're staying on. Hochul said on Wednesday. Isn't she such a fucking...
there's, some politicians you just want to do bad things to, and she's just...
gosh,
not a good person.
Terrible. Is congestion pricing officially over? MTA has already filed a federal lawsuit to keep the congestion pricing alive. Now, here's the reason for this, everybody. Here's the reason for this. I wanted to just be clear about this. I said, what does the federal government have to do with New York City's congestion tax? Let's see here. The program, which began on January 5th of this year, charges drivers a toll to enter Manhattan south of 60th Street to reduce traffic congestion and fund improvements to the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. While it was enacted by the New York State legislature in 2019, federal approval was required because the highways leading into Manhattan, such as those connected to the Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, and others, are part of the federal aid highway system. Under U.S. law, tolling such highways fall under the jurisdiction of the Federal Highway Administration, an agency within the U.S. Department of Transportation. Now, the real question is, should that administration have ever been created? No. So it's a little bit of a legal quandary we have here. If you're a strict constitutionalist, the idea is not, the question is not whether or not Trump is getting involved in state matters.
Right.
It's not a state road.
Right.
Now in a good constitutional American society, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, any of these interstate highways that they wanted to build. That should have been a confederation of states that worked to plan this out. Right. Every state taking care and maintaining their strip of it. They can set up their own, respective tolls. I mean, that's how we had roads and we had turnpikes. Yep. You drive on the road, you pay the toll, you turn the pike. Mm-hmm. This is how we used to do this stuff. It worked, but we do have an issue here where you're going to need approval, and if the feds are going to say no, we're not going to do this. It's fun, especially since the people at the end of it are trying to become the fight that they're putting up in front of the cameras right now to try to preserve a $9 tax to freely travel through Manhattan.
I know.
And thinking that they're noble to fight the power that's telling them they can't tax their citizens. It's like, you really think that you sound like the good guy in this?
I know. It's the tone deafness of Hochul in general.
And not only that, Jay, but if you go back a year, the original tax was supposed to be $15. And Hochul put a pause on it because they were getting the shit kicked out of them politically. And then about a year afterwards, leading up to this election season, the proposal was, hey, it's going to be $9. We saved you 40%. Oh, God. We saved you 40%. This is the way that they sell
Aren't
this.
You grateful? Wow.
We saved you 40%.
I'm still not convinced she's the governor.
It's fucking crazy, man. It's
man.
crazy.
It's just the only thing they know how to do is tax to solve problems. But the reality is, if they actually manage their money properly, and there's so many angles on this. I just and I was a subway user for a very long time because I worked in Union Square, and back then, so it's funny. Every time they hiked the price of the subway pass, it was to improve the subway. The subway's not improved. The subway is now a very dangerous place compared to even when I was riding it in 2010 or 2011 to 2016. That's when I was taking it every single day into Union Square. It's amazing. New York is amazing with all the people here and all the taxes they collect and just their inability to manage things properly.
Well, I would agree. I would be open. I said it back in December as well. I'm open. I want to know, is there any innovative, and I know there are, because I've interviewed quite a few of them. There's a lot of innovative thinkers out there who want to go to work for their state, for their county, and do things nobody ever thought of that are really crafty, that save money, but it makes things efficient.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what somebody can come up with, if there is anything, to help with cutting down on congestion in a city that has 8 million people in it. Okay. Sure. Because when I went down to, Saks Fifth to go look at the Christmas tree with my family on my mother's birthday, obviously it's 2 days after Christmas. It's tourist attraction. I know it's crazy one way or another. We've been down there many times in my life, but I have never experienced anything like this particular time ever in my life.
Yeah.
Ever in my life. And I would have paid $30 to be able to get around one block in less than 45 minutes.
I know.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have, in that moment, I would have paid anything to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear what people think, but it's just so convenient that every problem, the solution is the tax hammer.
Right. Right. So the government's centralized power controls it by collecting more taxes, whereas you said the private sector could come up with actually something creative and innovative, which I would love to see as well. It's more of the same philosophical difference that we're having as we talk about everything in, when it comes to health, all the things that so I mentioned the autoimmune diseases, right? But some of the things that Kennedy didn't talk about were like, again, we're heading in one direction. We're doing the same thing over and over again. And I part ways with a lot of people who are even in the Maha movement, who I respect in some degree, but don't think they have the competency to understand chronic disease. I'll give you a name, Jillian Michaels. She is a calories in, calories out, first law of thermodynamics personal trainer. She has no idea what makes people obese. No idea. When I listen to her talk, I'm like, man, you are dumb. But I agree with her on all the Make America, and I like philosophically, she has a lot of good points, but like she was like the biggest loser person. You just need to exercise more and eat less. That's bullshit. That's what got us into this situation. So people need to be put in their place when it comes to an understanding of biology and biochemistry, which she does not have. But I accept her in the movement because she has a lot of really positive ideas when it comes to medical freedom and health freedom and things like that. But we have to be able to have these exchanges and debates. The only reason I know that is because, remember, I come from a nutrition field where I have seen her debate many people on this topic, and she just doesn't have the scientific pedigree to understand that kind of stuff. But you're talking about a 51% projected overweight and obesity prevalence on the world stage by 2035, Frank.
Damn.
In 10 years, more than half the population of the world will be overweight or obese. And by 2030, 78% of the US adults are going to be projected to be overweight or obese. 78% in 5 years.
Jeez.
If we don't do something, and it's not calories in, calories out, if we don't change something, so that list that RFK gave may anger some people because they're going to say, well, we all know that X, Y, and Z are safe and effective. The truth is, Frank, no, we don't. No, we don't. And we were just talking off air, like we should do an episode where there's a brand new paper that just came out a few weeks ago that talks about the prevalence of neurodevelopmental diseases in looking at two cohorts of, let's say, inoculated children versus uninoculated children.
Yeah.
Those studies are never done. You know why? Because the powers that be don't want to know the answer to that question, because they do know the answer to that question. So they don't run those studies. And when they're actually run ever, the results are very striking. And this paper will shock you. And actually, I'm going to cover it with Daryl in the next couple of weeks, so it'll end up on your after hours program. But I mean, these are the kinds of conversations we have to be willing to have. Like Kennedy said, I'm going to ask uncomfortable questions, but I promise not to let my preconceived notions get in the way. And that is actually how you do science. But you have to be allowed to ask the questions.
Is this going to include what I heard has just been coming out of like Yale studies with the latest inoculation, the latest the shot?
This one, no. This one I think is just the regular schedule. Doesn't even have anything to do with anything COVID or mRNA related.
Well, let's take some calls. 914-200-0269. Call in with whatever you want. It doesn't have to be nutrition. Jay can hang with whatever.
Yeah.
So let's just take some calls. 330, you're on the air. Is this Laura?
Studies with the...
Yes.
Hey, what's going on? Just kill that stream in the background and you are on.
Yes. I had emailed you a while back, and I'm the one who said that I had lost over 150 pounds, and you said to call in when Jay Gulinello is on. So what happened, I told you that I'd fasted for 40 days and was led to start a health program where it's keto, not keto, but meat.
Uh-huh.
And for the last 2 years, I've been going to the water. I had a bad car accident, gained a lot of weight. I got a lot more to go, but I've lost over 150 pounds.
Jeez.
And I eat mostly meat and fat, and I add a lot of salt to my diet. I see a holistic healthcare practitioner, and I was very, very sick, and now I'm on the other side of that. So I just wanted to call.
Wow.
And because I emailed you and you said to
oh yes,
call in and let you know.
Well, I mean, you think I'm just trying to think about I think about this. I think about Aurora being about 50 pounds. So I think about you carrying 3 Auroras around on your back,
yeah,
and having that been shed. I mean, that's just an incredible feat right there.
Your name is Laura.
Thank you.
Is that right, Laura?
Yes, yes.
So, Laura, what does your holistic health practitioner think about the strategy that you've used to lose the 150 pounds? I'm just curious.
Oh, he's the one who said, okay, you need to start eating. He wants me to eat totally meat, and for the most part, I do. For the most part, I do. Kind of like vegetables and stuff kind of mess with my stomach anymore.
Yeah.
And when you get to this part, when you don't eat, I don't eat fast food. I don't eat any processed food. When you get to this point, your body tells you, oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I still have let me tell you something. I still have over 100 pounds to go.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter and I, we want to go to your seminar this year. And in the last 2 years, I couldn't have gone because physically I couldn't do it.
Wow.
But this year we plan on going.
Think about that. I mean, you've freed up an opportunity to do something in your life that you physically were unable to do prior. Just think about that for a moment. Even though you still say you have 100 pounds left, just think about what you've already accomplished.
I'm so excited, and it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
But I've been like working diligently. I go to the pool. I exercise outside of the pool.
Yeah.
But that's where I started, is the pool. And I'm so grateful. You know, I'm a Christian. I'm so grateful to God to help me out in this endeavor that I started, because I started out fasting for 40 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how I started.
Well, that's very biblical right there.
That is very biblical, very powerful. Yeah.
Well, Laura, thank you for sharing this.
Seriously.
Thank you for sharing this story with everybody. These are the little things that they impact people in ways you don't know. Because I get the emails, and these little pit stops along the way. These anecdotes are very meaningful. So thank you for calling in tonight.
Thank you, and you guys have a great. I love your show, Frank.
Thank
and my
you.
daughter watches you too. Cobalt Blue.
Oh, absolutely.
She's totally blind.
Oh yes. I do. Hold on. Wait. Because we have quite a few blind members of the audience, but she has gotten in touch with me. No.
Yes, she's called you a couple times.
Yes. No, but also email. Didn't she? Isn't there an email? Doesn't she email
Yes.
to? I might be mixing her up, but either way, I really.
But I want.
Go ahead.
And I want to tell you about that keto brains.
Yes.
So I got the sample and I love it. I love that stuff.
That's great.
Well, I'm happy you like it, because I'll tell you. But I'll tell you one thing, Laura. Jay, because of the MCT, the fatty, the coconut oil, that fat for the brain, that will break your fast, right?
Yeah, I mean, technically, but you're getting other benefits of that. You're not spiking insulin or anything like that. It's so it's a little bit of a trade-off. You may not get the deeper autophagy, but you still get the metabolic benefits.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So just letting you know, Laura, if you're still doing fasting intermittently and all that stuff, usually what I do, some days I just say, to hell with it, I want it right now. But other days I save it for the tail end of when I'm eating, or like, for example, I had my keto brains in my coffee that I brought over to the studio tonight, so I can get a buzz while I'm on air. But yeah,
I usually break the fast about noon.
Same
so
here.
about noon or 1, and that's when I do the keto. That's when I did the
perfect.
keto brain
Cool.
with my tea.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, then have fun with that, and let me know how it goes.
Okay, thank you guys.
There you
Love
go.
you guys.
Keep it up, Laura.
And let us know when the next 100 pounds has been vanquished.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a lot, man.
Incredible.
When she reaches her goal, she'll have shed over 250 pounds.
Yeah. I mean,
think about the strength it takes to carry that around.
I know. Unfortunately, I see people struggling in that position every single day, and it's. I wish they could all break through and feel what it feels like, because nobody should be feeling like that. Like she said, she is physically unable to do X, Y, or Z. I mean, that's you're not just shortening your life, but you're shortening your enjoyment of life. You're limiting your enjoyment of life. And so, to her point, so let me just add another stat, right on top of that. Nature Communications paper 2023. This paper was the first to introduce a machine learning algorithm that accurately predicts the degree of processing for any food. And they indicated that the U.S. food supply is 73% ultra processed. So AI has officially analyzed the U.S. food supply and found that it is 73% processed food.
Okay, so then now, just for clarification, everybody at home, when people say ultra processed,
yeah,
I understand processing food could be as simple as saying, okay, I've harvested some almonds in my backyard,
right,
and I'm shelling them, and I'm slicing them. Because they have been sliced into shards or whatever the hell else, they have been processed one time over. What has to be done to them to be ultra processed?
So this paper, I'll have to pull up the paper and go through it, but they use, I believe the AI was using something called a NOVA classification. And so they do break that down. So they're not talking about obviously even a cow has to be processed for you to have hamburgers.
Right.
They're not talking about that. They're talking about your truly shelf stable packaged foods with fillers and additives and things like that. Your Cheez-Its, your Pop-Tarts, your Oreos. They're talking about foods like that.
Okay.
And even, I guess, to some degree, I would consider Impossible meat or, just egg. Have you ever seen that? It's literally called. It's if you've never seen this, so it's in a squeeze bottle. It's disgusting.
Oh no!
It's in a yellow squeeze bottle. Looks like mustard, and it's called Just JUST egg, and it's a plant-based egg. And the irony is that it's called Just Egg, and it contains literally everything except egg. And it's totally disgusting, and it is a truly processed food. So
it's it's hilarious where we can go from a world where you market a product like I can't believe it's not butter.
Right,
and the whole product's marketing is around the fact it's not butter, but I just can't believe it. And to say that it's just egg,
yeah,
and it's absolutely not
everything but egg.
So yeah, I don't know. I've seen like quarts, bottled quarts of just egg whites, which I think is gross in itself. Yeah. I'd rather just crack the egg and know it came from the.
Of course, but at least that's just the egg white. No, this is truly like a combination of like seed oils and mung bean protein and all this soy. Like it's just
great.
Not real food.
All right, well here, let's take some more calls. 914-200-0269. You know what? I got a question. But I guess I'll save that for after this next call.
Is it really 8:30 already, Frank?
It is 8:30. It always happens this way. 7:04. You're on the air. Is this David?
Oh, hey Frank, man, that was quick.
How you doing? Sometimes you get through before you know it.
Well, what you just said, it reminded me of that meme, Jay, where humans were the only species smart enough to make fake food and dumb enough to actually eat it.
You know who said that? You know who that quote is from? I love that quote. I use it in presentations all the time. You know who said that originally?
I don't know.
That was a man, I think he was he was in the Royal Navy. He was a doctor. His name was T.L. Cleve. And he said, humans are the only species smart enough to create their own food, but dumb enough to eat it. Yeah, that's a great quote, man. Great quote.
I never heard it before.
Yeah.
It's great.
Anyways, guys, I hate to change the subject on anything, and the reason I'm calling on Jay with Jay being here is because Frank, I started to call that last time Jay was on, but you guys didn't take calls that night, and you had mentioned the Wednesday before how bad you hated having a sore throat worse than anything in the world.
Yes, yes.
And I thought to myself, I got to call Frank with the sore throat remedy.
Okay, what is it?
And Jay, just for you, I want you to know. I have the same medical degree that Bill Gates has.
I will defer to the expert then.
Go ahead.
Anyway, you know how when we were kids, our parents always told us when you got a bad sore throat, gargle with some warm salt water.
Yeah.
And it'll make you feel better. And it always just seemed to burn really bad, and it never really made it better. And I wanted to call to see if Jay's ever heard of what I'm about to say next. If he's ever heard, talked about the healing property of apple cider vinegar. Mm-hmm. Do the same thing the next time you get a sore throat. Write this down, Frank. And you too, Jay. You guys try it. I mean, what can it hurt? But the next time you get a sore throat, use warm water and 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to about 6 ounces of water and gargle with that. And if you'll do it 3 times in a day, like in the morning when you get up, and in the afternoon, usually by the evening, your sore throat will be gone. And if not, do it a 3rd time before you go to bed. And the next day, usually your sore throat will be gone completely. It's the most amazing thing. And it works way better than warm salt water.
Okay.
And I wanted to call and just tell you that, and the Frankly's in the chat and everything, because I read the chat.
Hey, you know what? I appreciate it. And there was no set topic for tonight. And I understand that whenever Jay comes on, we usually say we're going to take calls in the second half, but we just never get around to it. So I'm really happy that we're actually taking a few tonight. And what you're also sharing with us right now, I'm looking for a video that I shared with Jay and also with Lauren and a few other people, because I think it'd be a wonderful topic to open up on a night of its own. And it was I think it was a man on the street interview that was being conducted in England back in the mid to early 20th century. And they were going around to all these housewives, moms, grandmothers, great grandmothers, and asking them what their flu cures were. These are the, and I found it so fascinating because everybody was so sure about what you do. You take the onion, you boil the onion, you mix it with the honey, all these different things going on. You mash this up, you cook it, you boil it down into something else or whatever, and then you take that certain times a day, and you're going to be fine. We've been using this for a couple hundred years in my family, and how it wasn't even just about what these people 100% were confident and worked, but that there were so many different ways to attack something like a flu or a cold or something like that. And this was at a time, and we're only a century removed from this, where, right now we have David calling in talking about this sore throat remedy with the apple cider vinegar. We're less than 100 years removed from the time where this was really the more coveted and legitimate information that was shared at the time. This is the way people shared information and actually got each other well. These were the homemade time-tested family remedies for things like flu from all natural substances. That was the gold standard for a long time before the whatever was pumped out at the factory. And again, not to demean the tools that are available to us in emergency rooms and everything else, 100%. But like Bobby Kennedy said, over medication is a big thing. And how ridiculous is it to write off natural remedies for a body that's not mechanical? I don't.
It's completely ridiculous. I had a professor who used to say the problem with modern medicine, and to your point, and I always make that caveat. I mean, in an emergency room, I don't want to be at any other place or time in history. But the problem is we're using that same acute care model for a chronically ill society, right? And it's not the same thing. So apple cider vinegar, off the top of my head, without even looking anything up, could work in a variety of ways because it got an incredibly low pH. So that could disable any kind of bacteria or viral replication if you catch it early on. It's antimicrobial, it's probiotic. It's the same reason that I recommend zinc acetate lozenges, because the zinc can inhibit viral replication if you catch it early on in the nasopharynx. So that's why the lozenges I recommend, they're big suckers. They're like, I don't know, like not a silver dollar, but they're big. And you can suck on them for like 20 minutes and they stay in the nasopharynx, and that zinc interrupts viral replication. Oregano, garlic oil, these are all antimicrobial. They're actually found in herbal antimicrobials that actually test in scientific literature better than some antibiotics like rifaximin for IBS and things like that. So there is no doubt that there are a variety of different home remedies and natural compounds that can absolutely combat that. So gargling with apple cider vinegar, I absolutely believe that works. And there's probably multiple mechanisms by which it does work.
Thank you, David, for the call.
Definitely try it, guys. It's way cheaper than chloroseptic.
Oh, no, I'm with
better
you.
For you.
And probably tastes a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, on election night, when Donald Trump sealed the victory on election night, what do we have? Jay made everybody mocktails.
Yeah, mineral water and apple cider vinegar.
Topo Chico mineral, a little bit of Topo Chico, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and that was our champagne for the night.
It was wonderful.
But here, I found the. Take a look at this, and I want to take a couple more calls. Listen to this. This was back, I don't know, what people used to get over the flu back in the day. All right, this is from the BBC, and let's listen to this. Hold on.
Take vitamin C and lemon, barley, and whiskey.
Vitamin C, lemon, barley, and whiskey. He starts the day. Listen.
Well, I start the day with a good hot breakfast. Porridge, eggs and bacon, and a drop of whiskey and tea.
You can defy the virus then.
Ah, very good.
What about you, madam?
I believe in a good breakfast, but I also believe if you have got the flu, rinse your inside out with continually with boiled water, about 4 or 5 half-pint glasses a day. Boiled water.
Well, my remedy for flu is to get a small Spanish onion, chop it up finely, and put some brown sugar over it and a little vinegar. And then when it's into a syrup, take a spoonful before you go to bed. It's a very good remedy.
Well, I'm a great believer in whiskey. I'm like the Scotchman. I believe in a drop of whiskey warm, and it sort of kills the germs.
I think boiled onions are marvellous idea.
What's your recipe?
A jolly good hot rum punch and a jolly good sweat and stuff in bed till it's all over.
Yeah, all these
sweating.
people, you know what these people are. They're conspiracy theorists.
Absolutely.
And they're anti-vaxxers.
She's going to use the sauna? Why don't you just put your tinfoil hat on while you're in there?
A jolly good sweat. I want to have a jolly good
I
sweat.
just did a sauna last night
Oh, man.
while I was listening to your show.
Oh, well, whenever I just steam up the bathroom and just stand in there for a while.
Well, they opened one near my apartment, and I was like, an infrared sauna within walking distance of my apartment. It's in a yoga studio. So I don't do the yoga there. I just pay for the sauna, and it's great.
Yeah, I know. Nah, see, I don't know. Oh, look, here's one of the top comments says, no, they're all wrong. Lock down the world. And every lock down the world, everyone wearing muzzles, and ramp up the fear every day. That works.
Bill Gates is in your chat.
Yes. And somebody says, I'll take a jolly good rum punch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You can't pat and sweat it out.
Yeah. I mean, and that's really what we're talking about here, right? In the early 1900s, look, there's a reason that the Flexner Report in 1911 is one of the things that changed medicine. That's where Rockefeller medicine started. Carnegie, Rockefeller sent out this guy, Abraham Flexner, to go basically homogenize medicine. And it destroyed homeopathy, destroyed all the diversity there was in medicine, thousands of years of traditional medicine, Chinese medicine, all the medicine that we didn't even necessarily know how it worked, but it couldn't be patented, couldn't be capitalized on. So once the petrochemical was invented, that was sort of the beginning of the end. And the Flexner Report essentially closed like 2/3 of medical colleges, and Rockefeller would only donate to the schools that practiced this petrochemical allopathic version of medicine. And he said, and if I'm going to give you money, I should probably have somebody sitting on your board to make sure the money is spent wisely. And
by the way, wear these white coats. It makes you look authoritative.
And look, there's no doubt that like things like X-rays and Rockefeller helped in a lot of ways. But I mean, let's not be silly. He was doing it not for altruistic reasons. He was doing it because he saw the levers of power, how much he could control after Standard Oil was broken up. I mean, this is just the history that nobody wants to talk about. But that's where medicine went completely off track. It was a completely different world prior to 1911. A completely different. Frank, that's only 110, 115 years ago. So we're not that far removed from going back to a time where we could actually see some of these remedies come back. We existed a lot longer and healthier prior to the petrochemical and the food industry. So I have some optimism that we can get back to a healthier time. Because when they say, was America really ever healthy? Actually, yeah. Yeah, considerably. I don't understand when people say that. Yes, absolutely. The first recorded heart attack in the medical literature was 1912. Heart disease was not really a thing. Heart disease is now the #1 killer. Are you telling me we weren't healthier in 1910?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot there. Let's try here from Beverly Hills. What's going on? You're on the air. Hello?
I wanted to hear from the
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Go ahead.
Hello? Hi, this is Maggie, you guys. How are you?
Hi, Maggie. Good to have you on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question about Jay's name, the challenge. Are we supposed to guess what the J is in your name, or are we supposed to guess your entire name?
Oh, well, you could do either, I suppose. You're not going to get the whole name, but you could just guess what the J is.
People are very resourceful, Jay.
No,
you never know.
I mean, we live in a world where you can find anything out, I guess.
I don't know why. Do you want to hazard a guess?
Sure. I don't know what the J is still, but let me guess that your full name just might be, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's Leo J. Gulinello.
That's technically not correct. It's not the complete name, but it's very close.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not. I couldn't find the J.
I'll give you a hint though. I'll give you a hint though. I'll accept that you just put J there, but that's actually still not the entire name.
Okay, but is she on track with Leo?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, say.
No one really knows.
I kept a very. I kept tight-lipped.
I know,
but it's just like, listen, it's one.
You don't want to ruin the fun, right?
It's just fun. Anyway, okay,
there's still a lot of mystery. There's still a lot of meat left on that bone, so that's okay.
Yeah, I figured because I couldn't find the J. So there.
Just don't put my social on air. That's all.
I know that's all. Do you have a social security number?
That's all I called out.
Anyway,
some 300-year-old is using yours.
Seriously, yeah.
Anyway, okay. Well, thank you so much for the call.
Have a good night, you guys.
You
Yeah,
too.
you
Wow,
too.
that's the first time we've taken a call with a guess of my name.
I
think it's
know.
always been in the chat. It's been like a sequestered kind of thing. This is like, it's starting to spread.
It's one of those
We
things.
might have to lock down soon.
Yeah, I know. The J is silent. The J is silent. Let's see here. 480. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, it's Rose.
Hey,
or
Rose.
Rosie.
Hello, Rosie.
Hey. I wanted to say hi to Jay and thank him so much for all of his help that he's given me over on Instagram.
Oh.
I'm the one that would message you. You helped my friend last year with the blood work.
Okay.
The write-up of the paperwork, or the blood work paperwork that I sent you, and you were so sweet and kind to give me your opinion on that, and then with my mom's statin stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Wow.
It means a lot.
Oh,
my God, why am I crying?
No, Rosie. Rosie, it's my pleasure. Honestly, I have to be careful, when social media, when it comes to giving out things like, medical advice, but I can certainly give my opinion, and I'm always happy to do that. And if people message me, I always try to respond. I'm just one of those people that also goes to bed sometimes feeling bad that I can't respond to everybody. And if you've been somebody who has sent me a message and I haven't been able to respond, it's nothing personal. It's just quite literally, I have not found a way to get 28 hours in a day. So.
Well, you're very kind to have responded to me and give me your opinion on things. My mom's off the statin. We're getting her, she's been on like a higher fat. I think paleo's kind of her jam because it's a little bit easier. She's 82, that sort of thing. But I think I'm going to get the keto brains for her. I know she doesn't get enough calories in.
Yeah.
She's very mindful about eating, which is great. I probably should be that way. She's not shoveling food in her face.
Right.
Like at a rapid pace. She eats very slow, but she doesn't eat much. So I need to increase caloric but good fat. So I've been working with a holistic doctor here, a nutritionist for her. But because of what you have spoken about before on Frank's show and what we have discussed in DMs, it's made me more knowledgeable. And so I knew what to look for a doctor here in Arizona. So again, I just wanted to say thank you so much personally. I know the written word is something different, but you really have made an impact on my life. So thank you. I'll let you go because I don't want to cry and be made fun of. I don't want to be made fun of.
Hey, they're happy. They're happy tears, Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie. No,
totally. Totally.
Well,
okay, thank you, guys. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's my pleasure, Rosie. And the other thing is, as we age, it is harder to get more calories, and our digestion is compromised. So you're on the right track, and even liquid calories to some degree for someone who's a little bit older is a good idea if they're quality calories, because at that point you want to maintain that muscle mass. So I'm glad that she's doing well. I'm glad that I was able to help, and thank you so much for calling.
Thank you. You know what? Since you brought that up really quick, I have her on a bone broth, like chocolate protein. Like super clean. I can't remember the name of it. I got it from.
I bet it's Paleo Valley.
Oh, it is. That's it.
Jeez.
That's it.
Ding, ding, ding.
But I can't, I try to put it, I told her to put it in her coffee, but it's like you end up chewing coffee, and even with a frother, it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
So I think the keto brains.
Chocolate bone broth sounds interesting.
Yeah. No, you'll be better. Actually, the keto brains mix is really nice. The keto brains is
when I think about salted candy, like you have like a salted caramel.
Yeah.
If I think about a kind of like a salt, I've had dark chocolate and sea salt before. So when I think about a bone broth, that is a little bit more on the salty end of it. I can see how those two flavors can go together.
But it doesn't
on
taste
their own.
like bone broth.
Right.
I mean, I've even tried it, and I was like, oh my God, this is pretty good. Like, I would have never thought that was made of bone broth.
What does it taste like? Chocolate milk, hot chocolate?
pretty much.
Yeah,
Really?
pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get myself. So if that's the way I can get Aurora to drink more bone broth, then to hell with it.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, we have practically a keg of it. Would you like me to send a sample to you?
No. Just ungilded. Ungilded. Hit no. Ungilded. Tag me.
Really funny,
Tag me in the brand on ungilded so I can just poke around with it because I'd like to taste it. To hell with it.
Okay, what was it? Paleo Valley?
Paleo Valley.
I know that's right.
Oh,
Yeah, I know that is.
You're the one with the keg.
Okay. It's my mom has it. I don't have it with me.
Oh, okay.
She has the keg at her house. But okay, cool. I'll do that. Thanks again, you guys, and thanks again, Jay. You're awesome.
Thank you,
welcome,
Rosie. Be well. Take care. There you go, Rosie from Arizona.
You should Paleo Valley would be another great sponsor for the show. They make some good products.
You know what it is? The other thing that I have an issue with is I'm very bad with managing ad traffic. So I know people wouldn't go crazy if I spent 45 seconds a night thanking a sponsor that whatever. But I have I just want to be able to, I don't know, maybe.
Oh, I
would love to bring on 2 sponsors, but
Frank,
I don't know how to balance it all.
People have approached me for years with my Instagram account, because it's a decent size, and I've said no to almost everybody. Wild Foods is the only one that I have on my Instagram page right now because I've met Colin, the CEO. I've literally had lunch with him in Texas, and he's a great guy. I met his wife and his kids. I mean, like, that's the level I need to get to pretty much to be comfortable. That's how I know the Keto Brainz people. I'm just not going to do anything because I feel like I've built trust with my audience, and I'm not going to let them fall victim to something that I don't either use myself or believe in. So that's, I'm the same way, which is why I was able to, genuinely send that compliment your way, because you and I have a similar feeling about that, I think.
Yes, I'm there with you. Hey, something that we're going to have to put on for another night, I wanted to bring up tonight was, there's a few things, but in the title tonight that I have to take out now is rhythms and cycles. Mm-hmm. And I have just been seeing so much stuff. Obviously, you've talked about circadian rhythm. It's come up on the show many times in the past, but when it comes down to men and women, mm-hmm. what I see popping up more and more about men planning their days on a 24-hour testosterone cycle, mm-hmm. and women planning their months on their 28-day estrogen cycle. Mm-hmm. Like what are natural levels of activity, different parts of the day, mm-hmm. different part, like what we are like set up to do for, like what we should be doing at certain times of days, weeks, and a month to actually optimize our life, because we're more in tune with, cycles, just like knowing when the tides are coming in. And like, for example, I saw that men peak with their testosterone production in the morning. So like most of their heavy lifting and shit, if you can, should be there
earlier. Yeah.
So I don't know how universal this is. There's also so many other things I want to do. Like the stuff I sent you about birth control and finding mates.
I found some really cool animal research on that I would love to talk about. So we can do all that in an episode.
Yeah, we should do those cycles and rhythms and birth control and ovulation. That's all part of it too. Yeah. So it's another cycle and a rhythm.
Yeah, for women, there's a lot of fasting evidence that front end of the cycle, estrogen dominant is a better time for like weightlifting, and they can handle more stress and they can fast, like all physiological stress, physical stress, all those kinds of stressors. But then the back end, closer to the period when you're progesterone dominant, that also tends to be why things like chocolate are craved, right? Well, chocolate contains magnesium. Magnesium is required for the production of progesterone. So also digging into like heavy weightlifting towards the back end of the cycle is not necessarily opportune time. So we can talk about all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay, that'd be great, because I got to take it out of the title tonight because that's just the nature of the beast here. But I think that's easily an hour and a half, and then we start taking calls, because there's some really interesting like dating stories. You remember, like how has it, looking back on your life, has being on birth control at certain points and coming off of it, has your relationship changed before and after birth control? Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah,
just things that I've seen popping up. We have to do that some night.
I told you I'll tease the audience a little bit. I found a paper. I just had never even seen this research done on birds, where they fed them micronutrient deficient diets or micronutrient replete diets, and it actually changed the mating patterns almost as if the species can tell that this mate may not create the best offspring. Now, obviously, this is not necessarily a conscious decision, but it makes you think about how humans may do that selectively as well. That if the mate isn't set up for reproduction in an optimal way, there's some kind of pheromone, some kind of chemical signal that sort of like puts that person in a different category of attractiveness to you. I think there's definitely something to that. It's fascinating that you can find that animal research that actually supports that. So we can get all tinfoil hat if you want that night. I'll bring 2.
Oh, we will.
Okay.
Because it interests the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And I just want to, I don't know, obviously for anybody I've seen clips of people talking about it on different podcasts. It looked like somebody had covered that on Joe Rogan years ago, but there was more related to that's been popping up because I've been looking into it. So I'm curious about studies and what it all says. And then even more curious to see about audience reaction.
Yeah.
Because under all of these posts are comments from people who are just like, holy shit, I can totally, this makes a lot of sense with what's happened to me in the past, with my own marriage, at certain phases of a relationship, with drugs, without drugs. And it's, or people were even talking about something like extreme situations where couples, when you remove birth control, suddenly lose all interest in the other person because there was some natural matchmaking pheromonic, I don't know, ability that was stunted, or I have no clue. We'll do it all in one night. Okay. But here's another super chat on Rumble. Sheely, 1776 says, hello to Frank and Jay. Love you all. Also, my birthday is on Sunday. Sherry. Happy birthday, Sherry. Fantastic. I love it. Miss Day Dawn says, I also use apple cider vinegar when I'm sick. Another great thing I use when I have a sore throat are cherries. I will always sleep with a bag of cherries next to my bed while sick. Wonder why it works. What the hell's in cherries, Jay?
Well, she's saying, I'm assuming you're consuming them and not just sleeping next to them?
Just so you can.
Okay.
Wait.
I don't know. Like,
actually, I don't know.
When you read it, the way I took it was like.
Oh yeah, Miss Day. Hey, Dawn, were you saying that the proximity to cherries, or were you actually eating them? I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like a bowl of potpourri. I have this cherry potpourri. Just knocks it right out.
I'll look into cherries though. Either way.
Okay. Amethyst Cat says, hello, Frank and Jay. I love Keto Brainz. Just ordered a bag after trying the samples. Oh, awesome. Yeah, so happy to hear that.
Stuff.
Stephen and Lori, so much great info and fun topics. Thank you, Frank and Jay.
Yeah.
I don't know why people would never would it be anything other than excited about these nights because damn, man, there's like 5 episodes in 2 hours.
I know, we go everywhere, we go anywhere.
Yeah. I know. Sentinel, not sick of winning yet. Kash is the 17th cabinet member confirmed and 47's administration. Great show. We enjoy. Jay. Thank you.
At least there's that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's it.
You got to go where the people are.
I know. I know. Let's see here. Squickly, Tomcat NJ. There's more there. Let's see. Okay, moving on to, I just want to make sure that we're all cleaned up here because it's almost 9 o'clock.
I don't even believe it. I don't believe it.
Thank you, Stove again, and happy almost Friday, Frank and Jasper from Troy, man. Well, I think the mystery's starting to evaporate a little bit, but we don't know. Hey, listen, it's been years.
It has been a while.
So good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I mean, I just wanted people to have fun with the game. I mean, right? That's like life is a journey. You're supposed to enjoy the journey.
There's barely any mystery left in the world.
I know.
I always talk about the Babe Ruth effect. Babe Ruth and the mystique of, for example, like when I was a young kid, hearing like a sports figure I loved. I think about Don Mattingly. You never really heard these people too much. They're written about. Every once in a while, you'll get a post game snippet of audio that's played on the radio or something like
gotcha.
that. But the post game coverage of anything, you didn't have these live broadcasts from inside of the locker rooms every night. The microphones up everybody's nose.
Right.
People weren't on Instagram showing you. Babe Ruth wasn't on Instagram showing you how many hot dogs he ate that day. There was a mystique to all things that was public figure. You had to read about them in the papers, and you had to hear about their feats, read about their feats in a stadium thousands of miles away or something, and it was never really very real to you. So there was a glow on everything, but there's none of that. So the fact that you kept any mystery alive for even 4 years was that's good.
Frank, what's so funny about that is that when I started my Instagram page, I just started when I was going back to school to get my master's degree, and I originally was just going to be like, what is it like to get a master's degree in nutrition, and just take people along for the ride. I didn't even have a picture up of me. I had no video. I didn't even have a picture of me in the avatar. It was just, I think it was just Perpetual Health. I think the name was there. And I was just writing about stuff, writing. It was all text. And people were mad because they were like, we need to know who you are. And I had that same, I was like, but I always wanted the content to speak for itself. So I resisted putting a picture up for, it might have been like a full year and nothing of me. You wouldn't even have known who I was.
I was poobless.
And then, one day I put a picture up there and then like a whole bunch of people. And it's just like, man, that's not really what I wanted. And like, even the fact that I'm here doing this show, I never really envisioned any of this. It was always just like, I just was like, I'm going to go and do this really hard thing. And if anybody else is ever considering it, I just want to show them what it's like. And maybe I can teach them something along the way. That was literally how this started. And I don't even know what it is now. Now I'm doing, I'm doing Rumble videos on the FDA. You got me finally over on Twitter, changed my handle to my name. Like, I don't even know where I am. Like, I never wanted to do social media ever, but I also understand now, because I am, calls like Rosie's, like the woman Laura with 150 pounds, I realized the value in that. And your audience has been, just superb to me personally. Like you said the other day, hey, Jay's close to 1,000 people on Rumble. Why don't we get him over the top? It's like, bang, done. It's just ridiculous how engaged this audience is and how active they are. So I don't know. It was funny that you said that, because that was my original intent, was to really be anonymous and just educate people. But it turned into something completely different. I'm kind of glad it did, but I know what you mean about that old way of doing things.
It's you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
And I think as we always talk about what has been sapped completely out of the old way, the old media block, whatever it is, whether it be media or the experts inside of government that are dictating everything from environmental to medical practice, whatever the hell it is, authenticity, relatability, and trust is gone.
Yeah.
And that's why that is a great deal. That is the beating heart of new media, regardless of what it is. Even if you're a Twitch streamer, you're playing a certain game and you're just interacting with people, giving them nice, lighthearted, really, no heavy kind of, empty calorie fun at night. Whatever the hell you're doing, people are flocking to new media and social media for these conversations, for these release points, because chief among all other reasons is they feel an authenticity that is lost everywhere else. And I think that when it comes to remaining anonymous for an extended period of time, you have to just either take the jump, or you're going to be only firing on half your cylinders.
Yeah.
Because it's just, who do we embrace here? Who do we? Yeah. And the other thing is there too. The reason why I said you just have to jump in and take it is because depending on how effective you are, people want to know who they have to investigate and poke into, and because once you start really making inroads and having success, that's when people want to take you the fuck down.
Right. And then, and honestly, I felt like I wasn't even using all of my skill set because, like you, I come from the artistic world. I was, have been and still am a musician and an actor, and that's what I wanted to do for my life. So I thought, well, I can actually combine both of those things, find a way to bring this information, really complex information, to people in a digestible way. And then I'm really putting my entire life worth of skill sets together. So I thought remaining anonymous would actually work against that. So ultimately,
hey, it's fine. It's fine at first. I'm just saying, once you start taking those bigger leaps.
No, you're right.
It's our buddy Zach out there, Red Pill 78. For a time, he was just a voice behind the mama, and it's like eventually you're just gonna have to reveal yourself.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
all
right. This was a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow night. We have a paranormal night that we're going to be having with Albert Taylor.
I'll be listening.
Oh, that's going to be a great one. And then Saturday night, here from the studio, me, Anthony, and Mike, a couple of well-packed hookahs and a whole lot of nostalgia. So there you have it. That's all I got for you tonight. And Jay Gulinello, Perpetual Health. I've got his Substack is linked in the description of this episode. And
go there. That's all Perpetual Health CO. There.
That's what you prefer, right?
I like that. Rumble and actually Instagram. It finally has been released. I don't know what's going on there, but it's been released. So Perpetual Health CO on Instagram, Perpetual Health CO on Rumble. Those are the big ones, and Substack. And then Frank always tags me on Twitter, so you can find, or X, you can find me there.
All right. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back before you know it. And thanks again, Jay, and thanks again, everybody else. Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Get dressed. You're going.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters starring Stowstube, Troy Man, Gina. Oh, Gina from South Carolina says, Frank, when are you guys going to do a music collab? Oh, man. Oh, that'll happen one day. Don't worry. Well, it'll happen, I promise. Stowstube and Jay Brits and Shotzi. You guys, thank you so much. Thank you to all the Rumble Ranters and all the gold pills. I'm going to be releasing the Scratchin' right now. I'll be dumping out the treasure chest on D Live. Oh boy, oh boy. What a great night. And there's more tomorrow. So I'll see you there. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. And email me if there's anything that you wanted to add to the show that you couldn't get through. Good night. Oh, After Hours. After Hours is about to start on quitefrankly.tv. Get over there. John Carroll is posting all of the programming on Telegram and beyond. Good night.
Tony? Hi, how'd it go?
What does it take to get some fucking smoked turkey in this house, huh?
What?
I bust my ass all day long and I come home and want a little smoked turkey. Is that too fucking much to ask?
What the fuck is your problem?
Everything but fucking turkey in here.